I'm here with Jim Samples, top fan. How you, Jim? Bill, I'm involved in an online debate with a black woman who demands to know why it's okay to pay reparations to the Indians but not blacks. My only answer is I am personally against reparations except directly to those people originally affected and possibly their next generation, since they would have had a residual effect. But that's kind of moot in this late date. Besides, we all know reparations won't solve a thing. It will satisfy nobody. There has to be a better answer than mine. I think I entered a conversation inadequately armed. Well, Jim, unless you know something I do, if she's saying why is it okay to pay reparations to Indians and not to black people, my response to that is, what makes you think we pay reparations to Indians? We don't pay reparations to Indians. We never paid reparations to Indians. Ever. We've set aside territory, but it usually was the crummiest land out there. The only people that this government has ever paid reparations to are the people who were interred in World War II for being Japanese. And the reason that that was okay was because you are paying the person who was harmed. You are actually paying the person who was harmed. We don't pay reparations to Indians. If she's saying we don't pay reparations to Indians, if there are aid programs for Indians, there are aid programs for blacks and Latinos and whites and everybody else. We don't pay reparations to Indians. There's your discussion, I think, Jim. You know, sometimes if you go into a debate and you're on the wrong battlefield, it's time to just stop right there and just say, wait a minute, we're not going to, this conversation, you're right. Your attitude and your perspective makes sense because you're starting with a premise that's not true. That's why I disagree with you. I have to tell you, I'm going to wait until I get the results back. I want to do a firewall about this. I think this is going to be awesome. So our office manager, Shelley, brought me the news from a couple days ago that I'm sure most of you have heard about. It turned out that somebody did some research and found out that Kamala Harris' family owned slaves. Weren't slaves, owned them. So Natasha and I have been sitting on one of these DNA tests for 3 years now. Just never really got around to it. We're just sitting in the boxes. So finally we just got the boxes out, and I mailed them today, as a matter of fact. And here's what I hope. And not only what I hope, but what I expect. I have the dark eyes and the dark hair. I just go to the grandparents. My father's father is British and has been British back into a long time. My father's mother is German-Polish. My mother's father is British going back forever, but my mother's mother is Portuguese. And that's the dark eyes and the curly hair and all the rest of it. Now, knowing a little bit about history, I know that that Portugal and Spain were conquered by the Moors and by the Muslims. And so these dark eyes here didn't come from nowhere. These black shark-like dead eyes that I have are coming from somewhere. So here's my hope. This is my genuine hope. I really genuinely hope that when we get that genetic test back, I think I'm going to find that I have significant percentage of African blood. I certainly hope so. I really think that's going to be the case. I know for an absolute fact I'm going to have more black blood in me than Pocahontas has Indian blood in her. And here's what I love about this. When we get these results back, and if we find out that there's a significant percentage of my genetic code comes from Africa, which I'm convinced is the case, then I am going to write a firewall where I am going to ask Kamala Harris at what point I can expect a check from her. That's just gorgeous. It's as good as it gets, you know, as good as it gets. For these people who are constantly destroying people's lives by telling them that the world owes them something, and taking away their one chance to make something out of themselves by playing the cards that they're dealt and improving the hand, those people, Kamala Harris's, this thing, she accuses Joe Biden. Joe, you're not a racist, but. Well, guess what, Camilla? Your family were slave owners. And since you were slave owners, and since I come from, I have African ancestors who were taken as slaves, you owe me a check. You can make it out to William Whittle. And then you begin to realize the reason this is such a beautiful, beautiful thing is because then the absurdity of it all really starts to kick in. I'm hoping for a very high percentage, I really am, for a number of reasons. But this is it, it's like, we talked, I think it was last time, was families of coal miners that go back to coal mining till, prehistory, and they're filthy, died at age 24 with 9 kids. And that's not me. And if it's a very low background, and it is, it's extremely low. The lower it is, the prouder I am. It's just an attitude. I'm sure I mentioned this last time. When I first found out it was coal miners, I was actually ashamed for like a whole 20 minutes. And then I suddenly realized, hold on, these guys did all the work. They kept their families alive. They powered the entire world and gave up everything so that their kids could have a better life. I couldn't be prouder of being descended from coal miners. I couldn't imagine it. I mean, if I was descended from emperors and dukes, then this would be a major failure. But since all this is coming from a coal mining factory background, it's a big achievement. It's just attitude. So, it's 10 to 9. I think we'll do maybe 1 or 2 more and 10 to 8. And then call it a day.